Here he is only facilitating, and you guys are going to present him with very, very challenging questions. You know, this is for you guys. You are the one who's going to challenge the Sayyid today, you know, for all the question, all wonderful questions that you have, okay? We really want you guys to take advantage of this time. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله الحكيم في الذكر الكريم: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، وقل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Today we are here in our second workshop. First of all, I'd like to extend our group's heartfelt thanks to Brother Jasim and to Brother Zulfiqar and to other brothers from Al-Ghadir Center who have organized this program in so professional and beautiful way. And we also thank to all of you who have come here to share your understanding and inshallah improve your understanding with us. So the topic is hijab and modesty for men and women, and we don't have a lot of time because inshallah at 20 we'll have to conclude for salah, and once we've done salah the program is over. So you don't be scared that you are sitting here for 2-3 hours. What's the meaning of hijab? What, please? Yeah? To keep your hair safe from men. That is the meaning of hijab. What, please?
Protection.
Protection? Yeah? Yeah? Covering? So all are to some extent correct. Yeah. The meaning of hijab is, for example, this is hijab. Anything which covers anything that is considered a kind of hijab, a barrier. So, and the second word, modesty. What's the meaning of modesty?
Humbleness in a way.
What?
Humbleness in a way.
That's humility. Modesty. Yeah, you can say a kind of humbleness.
Like safeguarding yourself from the eyes of others.
Yeah, what is Islamic word, Arabic word for that, for modesty?
What?
Yeah, mashallah, well done. Iffat. So that is modesty. Hijab, ifaf. Hijab and iffat. So that is modesty. First of all, before we proceed, in fact, our sisters who observe hijab while being in the West, or they are teaching their girls to observe hijab, they deserve to be congratulated, because observing hijab, for instance, in Iraq, in Afghanistan or in Pakistan is much easier as opposed to any Western society, European society or American society. And definitely if you go through more challenges, you will be rewarded more. One time I calculated women who are doing hijab here as opposed to the women who are doing hijab in Iraq or in any other Islamic country, at least they will get 3 times or 4 times more rewards. So this is something very good and glad tidings for all of you who preserve hijab or who observe hijab. Hijab nowadays has become a kind of emblem for Muslims, and whenever I'm outside and I want to know whether there are Muslims in this city or not, the easiest way to know about the number of Muslims in a city is to look at hijabi women. If there are, for example, 5 in 50 women wearing hijab, we can easily understand, for example, there is how many percent? 10%. 10% Muslim at least, probably 20% Muslims. Yeah. So hijab has become a kind of benchmark for Islam and for Muslims, and that's something very promising. Let me tell you my personal story. When I was in the UK, in England, in an interfaith meeting, a woman asked me from Christian background, is hijab something mentioned in Quran, or is it the opinion of some jurists, some ulama, some scholars? I said, definitely it is mentioned in Quran. But the point is, why are you asking this question? She replied, I've been born here in this town, and for quite a long time, Muslims have been living in this town, but recently the number of hijabi women has gone to spike. So that was her surprise. What happened? All of a sudden, the women, the Muslim women living in West, in England, in America, in different parts of the Western country, they were not observing hijab, but now all of a sudden the number of hijabi women has grown up. So those who are observing hijab, you should not feel yourself down. Alhamdulillah, your number is growing day by day. As much as people are getting awareness of Islam and Islamic teaching, their number is, the hijabi women's number is growing. So previously you may have experienced that when you wore hijab in school or in college, you were alone. Only you were observing hijab. Probably there are some sisters in this gathering, or if not in this gathering, definitely in each community, Iraqi community, Lebanese community, Pakistani community, who will tell you their story of hijab. But now, alhamdulillah, when you are wearing hijab, and even though you are living in Canada, but you are not feeling isolated, you are not feeling strange yourself because of the growth. So this is something really promising. So the women observing hijab here, definitely they will get more reward, because despite all the facts that I mentioned, still there are more challenges here in Western society as opposed to our Islamic and Iraqi or Pakistani or Afghanistani community. And as I mentioned, the symbol of Islam. So here is a verse from Surah An-Nur. Surah An-Nur is one of the most significant surahs of Quran. And what is the significance of this surah? Any reply from our sisters, from our boys? One of the significance of this surah. This surah is highly recommended for women to recite. Definitely the whole Quran is recommended to be recited by all men and women. But this particular surah, Surah An-Nur, there are traditions which say it is highly recommended for women to recite. Why?
Maybe it talks about hijab.
Yeah, because this surah there are many verses which talk about hijab. So this is one surah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked about hijab. Is there any other surah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has talked about hijab? Surah Al-Ahzab, mashallah. Surah Al-Ahzab, in that surah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has dedicated a few verses for hijab. So this is the translation of the verse. That a bit of that verse I recited in the beginning. Can anyone read the translation loudly, please?
Can't see it.
Oh, you cannot see? Alright, no problem. So I am reading. And say to the believing women to lower their gazes. No, it is in fact the second part. The first verse was about men. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. And O my messenger, say to the believing men to lower their gazes and safeguard their body parts. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moves to the women, and He says, and say to the believing women to lower their gazes and to guard their private parts and not to display their beauty except what is apparent of it, and to extend their head coverings to cover their bosoms, to cover their chests, and not to display their beauty except to their husbands or their fathers or their husbands' fathers or their sons or their husbands' sons or their brothers sons or their sisters' sons or their women folk. So this is the verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in detail has mentioned who are mahram and who are ghayr mahram. So the first criteria, let's discuss very briefly. Let's first do the brainstorming. In fact, based on this verse and the previous verse that I recited, it was not included here. Hijab is not for women alone, but it is for both genders, for men and for women. Okay, now inshallah at the end, the boys will discuss how they can observe hijab. For girls, it is very easy to say they put a head cover and that is hijab. But how you can implement the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah has ordered you to observe hijab. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُم. So definitely there are several criteria for Islamic hijab. One of them is, can anybody tell? 5-6 criteria for Islamic hijab. The dress that we wear to observe hijab, that dress should have 6 criteria. As long as those criteria are met, that is considered hijab. But once our dress fails to meet those criteria, that's no longer considered a hijab. So in fact, hijab is not a piece of, as in the beginning. Oh, it's not. Hijab is not a piece of cloth. In fact, hijab in Islam is a way of life. To limit hijab to a piece of cloth, that's injustice to the whole concept of hijab. In Islam, hijab is a way of life which guarantees our modesty. The main thing which is desired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is modesty. That a man or a woman is modest in their relationship in this world. And to obtain that modesty, hijab is definitely required. Without hijab, it would be extremely impossible to obtain the modesty. Inshallah, we'll discuss those criteria first. But definitely, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about hijab, He has mentioned first of all this bit. Can you see it or not? Oh, lower your gaze. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to the women, He says the same thing. وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ.
So the first and foremost element of Islamic hijab is lowering our gaze. It doesn't matter how well dressed we are or our sisters are. If they do not lower their gazes, they are not observing Islamic hijab. And about lowering the gazes, there are many traditions from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Can anybody mention any tradition from Prophet Muhammad or from any of our imams in regards with lowering our gazes? What is gazes? I'm repeating this word, gaze, gaze. What is gaze? Gazes.
When lowering your gaze, when you're lowering the way you look at someone.
Yeah, I've put here, you see,
No, like that.
that picture is lowering the gaze. So and what is the opposite of lowering the gaze?
Hiring you.
It is the translation. It is not the opposite.
Focusing?
Staring. Staring. The correct word, which is very commonly used in English language, staring. Lowering the gaze and staring. So it doesn't matter how well dressed we are. I'm wearing, for example, a mama, abba, kaba, everything, and I'm very well dressed. But if I'm staring at women, at opposite genders, then what's the point of wearing all these things? And there are many traditions from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam which specifically talk about lowering the gazes. Can anybody mention any tradition? Our sisters should know more. Now our brothers should also know more. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, probably our brothers need to know more, particularly this bit. Because they are main victim of this mistake, unfortunately. Main victim of this satanic conspiracy. Shaitan creates a lot of temptations for men to stare, and sometimes just because of one gaze, one staring, the whole family life is destroyed. The whole family life is destroyed. So you wanted to mention a hadith? Yeah, brother.
النظرة سهم من سهام الشيطان.
MashaAllah, well done. There is a beautiful tradition that I was looking for. النظر سهم من سهام إبليس مسموم. Gazing is one of the arrows of shaitan. The arrows which are poisoned. Like if you hit somebody with poisoned arrow, it doesn't matter how briefly it touches the body of your target. As it was poisoned, it's going to work. It's going to do the job. In the same way, gazing. If we gaze at other namus, others nawamis, we are walking, we are in the street, we are in our classrooms, we are with our friends, but if we are gazing, look, Islam does not say do not look at others. Islam says do not gaze at others. Do not stare. So looking at somebody is completely different. Sometimes you may have experienced that you are living with a person for 1 hour or 2 hours. But after 1 and 2 hours, even though you were engaged in interaction with that individual, but if you are asked, could you please describe that person's physical appearance? Many times it happens that you cannot. It means you are not gazing. You are just looking. So when we are being interviewed by a woman, for example, we are allowed to look at that woman, but we are not allowed to stare. Stare means scanning. Scanning their body face, scanning their shapes and all these things. That is forbidden in Islam. And sometimes one gaze, one stare does the job of shaitan and destroys the whole marital life of a married person. A married person was fully happy with his wife, but he came into interaction of a strange woman, and he made this mistake. He stared at her, and she just came into her mind and she stuck into her mind, and now even though he was previously completely pleased with his wife, but now the bitterness will begin and gradually it will grow. Eventually, sometimes, in many cases, it leads to divorce, the collapse of whole marital system. So this is very significant. And when we are walking, when we are in the street, in our workplace, we always need to remember this command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala: lower your gaze. You are a man, you are a woman, boy, girl, lower your gaze. It is not easy, I'm telling you. It's extremely difficult. Sometimes people come to us and say, Maulana, we want to control ourselves against sins. There are different types of sins, I'm not going to mention here. But unfortunately, we failed. What's the solution? Simply the solution is lower your gaze. As long as you do not control your eyes. There is also a beautiful hadith. Eyes are in fact the messengers to the brain. Whatever we see, they do not keep within themselves. They pass immediately to the brain. And brain controls our whole system. So if we do not control our eyes, if we are in front of the internet, mashallah, you all have got access to internet. You all have got mobile phones with Wi-Fi enabled or with internet facility. If you are looking there, for example, models, idols from Hollywood, from Bollywood, or na'udhu billah, something more horrible, then definitely it would become extremely difficult for you or for anyone, for me or anyone who does this job, to control his modesty. So it is very significant, very, very important to control ourselves, our eyes. Now let's discuss the criteria of Islamic hijab, particularly the garment that we wear, particularly our women, as a garment of hijab. What are the criteria for Islamic hijab garment that we wear? Can you see the picture? Can you see the image? Is it perfect?
No.
Yeah. Not that much.
No.
Better than
What's wrong with that? Is it fitting with Islamic criteria of hijab?
no.
No.
No. Why? What's wrong with that?
Standing.
Standing? No. Sorry.
I know.
Tight.
Any other?
It's the pose of the body. That how she
Yeah,
is.
mashallah. Excellent. She thinks that she has covered her face. It means she is wearing hijab. And she is observing full Islamic hijab. No, this is not the case. Bosoms, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned bosoms. The head covering should be so long that it covers the chest as well. So this is one part which is missing here. Her chest area, even though it is hidden, but it shows in fact the shape of the body. Okay? So the Islamic hijab should be, proper Islamic covering should be in a way which hides everything, not only the body, but shape of the body. That is very important. Nowadays, a lot of girls, they are roaming on the street. You may have seen, and we all see day and night them. They are wearing very tight jeans. Okay? And they say they have observed hijab. And they've wrapped something around their head, and they say we've done hijab. And this is hijab. This is completely against Islamic hijab. In some scenarios, that is worse than hijab. That is worse than none wearing hijab. If they were not wearing hijab, probably they were not attracting as many people as they are attracting by wearing that type of hijab. So that is not hijab. So our sisters, our girls who are sitting here, they should know these boundaries, these criteria of Islamic hijab. This is first bit. And here, you see, nowadays this hijab is very common. This is called camel hump hijab. This is a fashion, this is a design. Hump camel or camel hem. What's the correct name for that? hump camel hijab?
Yeah.
I think. Call it hump camel hijab. Because you know camels have got hump on their back. So what do? Sometimes they wrap their head in a way which is like the hump of a camel. And surprisingly, this bit of hijab, this type of hijab, this type of hijab has been clearly mentioned by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam 1400 years ago. He said, there will be people, there will be women, there will be men, will be dressed but naked. And they will be wearing hijab, but in the shape of hump of the camel, which is completely not fitting with the Islamic criteria of hijab.
Women wearing an armor.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Good word. Very good word. Yeah. So dressed but naked. How can that be? Dressed but naked. Sometimes you may have seen they dress so tight. Probably it could be applied to many scenarios. But for instance, if somebody is wearing jeans which is very, very tight, it shows everything, every size and shape of their body, then what's the point of wearing that type of jeans? That's considered as if they are naked, wearing but naked. And sometimes the color they choose, which is so close to the skin, that they are wearing a jeans. But if you look them from a little bit far distance, you will consider as if they are naked. So that is also a kind of dress but naked. This is third criteria of Islamic hijab. What is this?
It's transparent.
Why it's not Islamic hijab? You can see through it, yeah, well done, mashallah. It's transparent. So sometimes the cloth designers, those who create a lot of cloth and fashions, they make cloth in a way which is so thin, so delicate, that you can see through that dress. If you are covering your head, particularly in Indian and Pakistani community, the head scarf is called rupatta or dopatta. Sometimes that is so thin, which is transparent, and it shows the hair from that cloth. So that is also not a part of Islamic hijab. What is this? Is this woman standing here fitting with the criteria of Islamic hijab? Is she observing proper Islamic hijab? Yeah. Thank you.
So, Maulana, can you repeat the answer if it's possible when they are answering for?
Yeah. The sister, the girl who is sitting here, in fact, she's not my sister, she's my girl. She's my daughter, like my daughter. But mashallah, she's very active, she's responding to all the questions and raises always the hand. Mashallah. She says, this woman is not observing Islamic hijab because she, by her wearings, by her clothes, by her garments, she is attracting the opposite gender. And that is absolutely right. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, and I think her dress is too short.
Too tight.
Tight.
It's not short.
I
If
meant
you
tight.
look at her, in fact, she is covering all the parts which she is supposed to be covering. So in terms of covering, she is fully, completely meeting the Islamic criteria of hijab.
Is it too tight?
But still she is failing somewhere.
Is it too tight?
It is too tight, it is too colorful, and it is too fashionable, and the posture she is giving in this image is also a little bit attractive. So there are a lot of things which make her too much attractive for men. So again, it fails to meet with Islamic criteria of hijab. Okay, any other criteria of Islamic hijab? I think we've covered all. Okay. The color of dress also should not be very attractive. That's why our women in Iraq, in Pakistan, particularly in Iraq, in Saudi Arabia, and in some other parts of the world, when they go outside, they wear black. That's why people started wearing black hijab, because black is the least attractive cloth. Yeah. So black hijab is in fact a kind of Islamic hijab, and very much important. If there are girls and they are wearing, for example, colorful hijab, that is also acceptable, as long as that is not too much attractive, okay, too much striking. But black is definitely more desired than any other color, black or white. Sorry. This is new ringtone. I have just started using this one, and this is just disturbing me. I haven't got time enough to change the ringtone.
No problem. We'll send you an Islamic one.
Yeah, inshallah. I will put an Islamic one. Yeah. Not to strike their feet on the ground. So this is also a verse from Quran. Who can read the verse in Arabic language? Not to strike their feet on the ground, so as to make known what they hide of their adornments. This is a verse from Quran. Who can recite in Arabic language? Anyone, please? وَلَا يَضْرِبْنَا بِأَرْجُلِهِنَّ. Okay? لِيُبْدِينَ مَا يُخْفِينَ مِنْ زِينَتِهِنَّ. Yeah. So this is the verse from Quran, and this is also a part of Islamic hijab, in fact. Not to strike their feet. Why this verse is talking about striking the feet? Any input from our sisters? No. Yeah, bro.
They used to wear a kind of jewelry on the...
Yeah, mashallah, that is the history. Previously, women, they used to wear a kind of jewelry in their foot or in their feet. So, in fact, sometimes when they wanted to attract some people, they used to just strike their feet against the ground to make the noise, to make the sound, so people got attracted to them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade it. How can you implement this verse in today's time? Today women do not wear, in fact, anything in their feet.
But they wear in some shoes.
Yeah, mashallah. What's your name? Huh? Fatima. Mashallah, Fatima said the right answer by not wearing high heels. Very high heels. And that is also very dangerous for your health. And you might slip. Sometimes when I see women wearing shoes, in fact, 1 foot or 1 foot high, I really, and the point which is holding that high heel is so thin and so subtle. Sometimes I get scared if the woman, she is walking, God forbid, if she trips over, what will happen? She might become disabled or crippled for her entire life. For nothing. For what? For nothing. Just to attract people, just to show that she was very mod or she was very smart. So this type of shoes, if you go to your doctors and you consult them, they will forbid you clearly. They will tell you very straightforwardly, if they are good doctors, if they are honest doctors, that is not healthy for your back or for your whole well-being. So that is very significant. Thank you. What does this verse mean? Allah tells us, and stay in your house and do not display yourselves like that of times of ignorance. The point is, if we take this verse literally, then we shouldn't be here. Our sisters shouldn't be here. Then our sisters shouldn't go to school. Then our sisters shouldn't go degrees. Okay? So what is the meaning of this verse? Allah, if a non-Muslim comes to you, particularly those women who observe hijab, you are very religious, your Quran says this for women. How do you reply to them?
It's like giving you choice. Like, if you want to act as ignorant, is it better for you to stay at home rather than just leaving home,
Yeah.
So it's giving you some teachings.
And that is a good option, a good point. But I understand the verse is talking about leaving your homes for not any legitimate purpose.
Okay.
If you don't have any legitimate purpose, don't roam in the street. Don't do window shopping. Oh, that's a horrible thing. Women's most favorite sport, game, window shopping. Window shopping. What is window shopping? You are shopping for nothing. You are just watching this thing, that thing, just getting the price, just enjoying by looking at different types, different brands of clothes, different types of jewelry. That's called window shopping. And Islam says don't do window shopping. It's not haram, but definitely it's highly discouraged. Yes. What?
Why do girls have to wear, like, not any clothes, but the guys can wear it?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you properly.
Why can the girls have restrictions on their clothes, and why can the guys wear anything they want?
Oh, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. How to reply this question?
Can you repeat the question for the people?
The question is, why only girls are required to cover their hairs and wear loose clothes and this type of clothes, hide their body, conceal their body, but men, they can expose their body, they can wear whatever they want to wear. Why? My point is, I've got this phone. This is $50 phone. I'm not putting any cover on this. But if I had got a phone of $700, would I be keeping the phone in this shape?
Is the value going to be less if you put cover over it?
That is another good point. If I put in fact a cover on it, will it increase in its value or it decrease? So cheap things which are not that much attractive, that much costly, that much expensive, they are exposed. But the things which are very costly, very, very expensive, very precious, they are always concealed.
Men are cheap, no?
Yeah. But not as attractive as women. Not as expensive as women. Yeah.
But attraction from one side to the other side is not the same.
Yeah, definitely. You are absolutely right. So in fact, did you get the answer, sister? Did you get the answer?
Can you clarify more? So does that mean that we're just more precious?
Definitely. Sisters are more precious in Islam than boys in terms of their body, in terms of their attraction. I'm not talking about value. In terms of value, men and women both are equal before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات. So all these verses, they say that men and women before the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in terms of their real value, their real essence, their real being, their soul, they are equal. However, in terms of their body, definitely women's body is much more attractive, much more delicate than men's. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prescribed special covering for women, which is not prescribed for Men, if you got, for example, dust in your home, if you got, for example, potato, if you got tomato in your home, do you put tomato, potato, or this type of things in what is called in safe in your homes? You just leave it open. But what about your jewelry, your precious jewelry? You always protect. You always put in case, then you put the case, in fact, in a safe, and then you put the safe in another locker. Yeah, you make layers after layers. As much as things are precious, you conceal more and more. So in fact, in Islam, the concept of hijab is not the degrading the women. It is in fact upgrading the women. Excellent. It is not degrading the women. By prescribing hijab for you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not degraded you, has upgraded you. You are not cheap. You should not consider yourself, or you should not behave in a way as if you are a showpiece of a designer, a cloth designer. Like most of the women, they do in fact free service. They wear a very fashionable, latest model cloth, and they walk in the street, and they in fact do free advertisement for that company or for that brand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no. If you belong to me, if you believe in me, you are precious. You should consider your value, and you should not lose your value so cheaply. Yeah, now we are moving to a little bit tougher areas. What about makeups and perfume?
Then what type of clothing is recommended for men? Like, can they take their shirt off in public?
Now, inshallah, you will discuss at the end together with boys. Inshallah, we'll sit together and discuss at the end. What time is it?
It's
Oh, we don't have much time.
Yeah, get all the time.
still time.
Thank you. Yeah, makeups and perfumes. As long as makeups are normal, they are acceptable. If a woman is wearing normal makeups, casual makeups, which usually all the women wear. And this is also a significant point that I need to mention here. In Islam, women are considered the symbol of beauty, and they are asked by Prophet Muhammad and Ahlul Bayt ﷺ to beautify themselves, to adorn themselves, to wear makeups. It happened in history that sometimes Prophet Muhammad saw some women. It is recorded about Prophet Muhammad and also about Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, that they saw some women. They were not wearing any kind of makeup. They were not wearing any kind of beauty. Prophet Muhammad told the woman, why you are resembling the men? You are women. It is your right to beautify yourselves, to wear some sort of makeup, some sort of beautifying agents. So in fact, it is not prohibited in Islam. It is not only not prohibited, but it is highly recommended. If a woman wears makeups, particularly for her husband, that is highly recommended in Islam, and she will get a lot of abundance of sawab. And in fact, a lot of family problems come because women, particularly after 5 years, after 7 years of their marriage, when that zeal and enthusiasm goes away, fades away, they start behaving a little bit differently. They say, this individual, this man for me has become, for example, a routine. So they do not adorn themselves, they do not beautify themselves, and the same thing goes with men as well. So this is highly encouraged in Islam, that women, particularly married women, it is, I can say it is must for them to wear makeups and to beautify themselves for their husbands. And the same thing goes for husbands. Husbands, they need to keep themselves clean, tidy, well dressed. Okay, so all these are instructions of Islam which guarantee the well-being of our marital life. And the perfume. If perfume, again, the same thing. Sorry.
Isn't it discouraged for unmarried women?
It is quite discouraged for unmarried women to wear, even unmarried women, they can wear some sort of makeups.
Because that's the definition of hijab, to keep themselves not attractive.
No, yeah, that's the point. If they are wearing hijab in a way which makes them attractive, very attractive, extraordinary attractive for men, and they are coming outside, they are leaving their women folk. If, as long as they are living with their own gender, among women, or in their own home, with their maharim, with their mahram, they can wear whatever they want. Unmarried women.
Not outside.
But if they are coming out, they shouldn't.
Yeah, that's what
Because if they are wearing makeups in a way which attracts opposite, then they are destroying the purpose of hijab.
there are a lot of women who come out of their house with makeup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there are a lot of women who in fact, yeah, and if they are wearing hijab, if they are wearing a lot of makeups, then the best option for them is to avoid being exposed to na-mahram. Or if that is the case that they cannot avoid, then they should wear a kind of veil, a kind of burqa. Burqa is not wajib definitely, but in that situation, because covering face will become wajib. If they are wearing too much makeups, then covering face will become wajib. And the same thing goes with perfume. Ordinary perfumes, routine perfumes, that's fine. But if a woman is wearing a very strong perfume, and the perfume which usually married women wear and apply, and definitely, of course, the intention is the most important thing. Mostly what happens when women are in their homes, they do not care about their beauty, about their makeups, about their
Sometimes I much.
perfumes, but when they work outside to please their boss or to maintain some so-called criteria of their workplace, they do wear a lot of makeups and performance, which is not definitely something good. Again, laughing. So hijab is not, in fact, as I mentioned in the beginning, a piece of cloth. But hijab means a way of life. A way of life which leads towards modesty. And through which we guarantee our modesty and our spiritual well-being. So anything which contradicts this purpose is considered contradicting with hijab. Now this is very important, particularly in our day and time. Chatting. Particularly our sisters who are studying in schools, in colleges, in universities, it is always good to know the boundaries, the limits. If you don't know how would you implement, how would you practice? So if you are in fact studying in a school, in college, in university, and you are conversing for nothing, if there is any legitimate purpose to discuss with an opposite gender, to talk to an opposite gender, you want to ask a masala, you want to ask some questions, your teacher is, for example,
Closer.
Your teacher is, for example, male, and you have to interact with that person for your necessary works, then that is permitted. But without any legitimate purpose, without any logical purpose, if you are conversing with a boy in your school, in your college, university or workplace, the same thing goes with men, the same thing goes with boys. So it is not one way, it is both way. All these things are for both men and women. It is haram. It is haram because it is considered muqaddamatul haram. It leads us to haram acts, or it might lead us to haram act. Even texting has become in fact a big problem one of the biggest problems of our community. They are always glued to their mobile phones, even in their majalis, in the centers. Sisters, boys, sometimes they are just texting. Why you are so much considered about texting? And I'm telling you the true story. A girl, one time, she was in my class, and I found her for a lot of consecutive times. She was very dumb, she was very sleepy, very tired. I asked her, what's wrong with you? If there is any medical problem, you may visit a doctor, or if there is any harassment within your home or something like that, you might consult with some psychologist or she said, no, everything is fine. Then why you are so tired? She said, I usually sleep 2 o'clock in the morning. What do you do? I asked her. She said, my parents are very punctual and very disciplined. They forced me in my bed by 10 o'clock to sleep. But what I do, she was very frank with me in the sense that there was no restriction between me and her. She was just, I think, 8 or 9-year-old girl. She said, what I do, I'm in my bed. My parents think that I'm sleeping, but inside my bed, I keep my phone in my hand and I keep texting. I keep texting until 2 p.m. Yeah, 2 a.m. sorry. From 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. texting. What? Why so much texting? And this is also in fact a part of Islamic hijab, not to disclose your private life to others. What do? They take the mobile phone. If they drink a sip of water, they write on Facebook. If somebody comes to their home, they write on Facebook. All these are wrongs. You are jeopardizing your privacy. And you are running a high risk of being, for instance, na'udzubillah, kidnapped or misused your information for yourself to trap you. So these are very important points that our sisters, our boys, and all the members of our community must learn. Privacy is very important, and at this time and age, they are targeting your privacy. They are trying to snatch your privacy. So please do not disclose your privacy. Do not text anyone for any randomly, without any purpose. If there is a legitimate purpose, please text. But if there is no legitimate purpose, just for passing your time, you are texting. And this gadget, this mobile phone, has been considered in the UK. They did a survey. What are the main causes of children who are lagging behind in education despite all the advanced system? They put this gadget, this mobile phone, on top list. This is on the top. MashaAllah, you've got good schools, brilliant schools, and you've got internet, you've got Wi-Fi, you've got gadgets, computers, laptops, tablets. So all these gadgets should make you brilliant in your education, in your college, in your university, in your career. This is the purpose of all these gadgets. But if you use them logically, if you use them moderately, purposefully, but if you just use them like ordinary people, then definitely the same destiny is waiting for you. So I'm cautioning you. This is very important, and inshallah, our boys, our girls, you all are supposed to be, inshallah, the soldiers of Imam Mahdi, Ajallahu Ta'ala Fadhil Sharif, the supporters of Imam Mahdi. You all are supposed to be excellent in each and every field. You are working, you are studying. Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. If we are the true followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, this is one of the signs of true followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salam, is that like Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, they were above the level in each and every field. We also need to try our best to make ourselves above the level of ordinary human beings. And that purpose can be very easily obtained. Imagine if your friends, they are spending 3 hours each day on gadgets and 2 hours in front of TV, and you are saving 2 hours. You are spending 2 hours on the gadget, and for example 1 hour in front of your TV or in front of your computer watching your favorite show. You are saving 2 hours, and that 2 hours you are dedicating for education. You will definitely become better than them, and once you become better than them, that is called in fact career building. If you are better than your colleagues, better than your friends, better than your co-workers, that is considered competition. You won. You will become inshallah on top. And that is our target, that our community, our Shia brothers, sisters, they inshallah excel in all the fields that they are in. Handshaking with opposite gender, as long as that individual is na-mahram, ghayr mahram, is haram. And apparently it's very difficult in this country. Apparently it's extremely difficult in this country because they have made, unfortunately, the culture that once you meet somebody, it is a kind of, in fact, culture, a part of the greetings. So they say hello and immediately they extend their hand to you. But if you have determination, if you have courage, nothing is impossible. You can avoid that. We go to many meetings. I go to many meetings. I don't shake hand with them. And not only I do not shake hand with them, but I use that bit a way or an opportunity to explain about Islam and Islamic teachings. But you need to learn how to explain to them. You are not shaking hand with them. First of all, this is in all other religions. One time I was in a meeting with Jews and Christians, and a lady extended her hand to me, but I just pulled my hand back. Then I started explaining why I cannot shake hand with her. There was a rabbi, a Jewish priest. He told me, don't feel apologetic. Don't give justifications. This is a part of our religion too. This is in our religion too, that opposite genders should not shake hand with opposite genders. But unfortunately, we are not following our religion. You are following your religion. So you should be proud of your behavior, your attitude, not feeling guilty. Yeah, so you can explain. I usually explain in the way that I cannot shake. I respect you, I revere you. But unfortunately, I cannot shake hand with you because my religion tells me that, and my religion tells me that and gives reason, and that reason is understandable for me. It's not to consider you lower, it's not to consider you in fact something less important, but it is to protect you. Because in English language they have a proverb which says nip in the bud. If there is something bad, they say nip in the bud. Do you have in Arabic anything something like that? Nip in the bud. What does it mean? Do you understand? Nip in the bud.
English?
Yeah, it is in English.
Nip in the bud. Means prevent
nip it in the bud. Stop it before it happens.
Yeah, mashallah. Well, prevent it before it happens.
Prevent, yeah.
الوقاية
الوقاية خير من العلاج.
Now, mashallah, excellent. الوقاية خير من العلاج. Nip in the bud. So Islam says prevent before accident happens.
Nip it in the bud.
So this is in fact not shaking hand, a kind of nip in the bud. Preventing before accident happens. So Islam says do not shake hand, do not touch a woman. So in fact, if I'm not touching a woman, I'm not shaking hand with a woman, that woman should feel comfortable as long as she is with me, because she knows that I'm not going to touch her. Sorry, sister.
Does that include non-Muslim women?
Yeah, it includes Muslims, non-Muslims. There is no difference between Muslims and non-Muslims. So men should not shake hand with women apart from mahram, their mothers, their sisters, their definitely spouses, and the same thing goes with women. Unfortunately, we don't have much time, so we are just talking about other men and women. This is also a part of Islamic hijab. Sometimes women come from a gathering, and in front of their husband, they start talking about some other women. they should be really fearful that if you are talking about other women and your husband gets attracted to them, then what would happen to you? So it's also haram if it falls under this category. That talking about somebody might attract the opposite gender's interest into that individual, then that kind of talking about somebody will become haram. Now these were in fact topics for discussion for you. Is hijab only for women? No. We've covered a lot of, and mashallah you are interactive, so we are just skipping. Hijab a burden or an honor?
No.
Definitely. It could be both for some, it could be burden, it could be honor for those who observe hijab. Yeah, definitely. How can men observe hijab? This is the last bit. Muhammad.
Wearing long sleeves or when they go outside.
Wearing
Long sleeve.
long sleeves. Wearing long sleeves. That is a kind of hijab for men. What else?
Wearing loose long sleeves so they don't show.
Loose long sleeve.
Loose long
Not
sleeves.
tight dress.
Not tight dress, yeah. Sometimes it happens that men ask us this question: are we allowed to pray in shorts? Are we allowed to pray in shorts?
At home, leave alone. Leave alone at home.
At home, definitely it is allowed. But allowed is something.
Correct.
And highly discouraged, not only discouraged. When we are doing salah, we should be properly dressed. We are standing before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even though it is allowed, but everything which is allowed should not be done. That is also a very important point. Thank you. She says, in fact, in front of other people, it's not allowed. So, even though we are men, but when we are in front of women, or women can see us, then definitely we need to cover a little bit more than what we are required. For example, our chest, our backs. When we know that there are women who might feel attracted due to any reason, if they see some unordinary, some extraordinary parts of our body, it becomes wajib for men to cover those parts as well. And definitely lowering the gaze. That is the most significant challenge for men in terms of hijab, lowering the gaze. Women, they are alhamdulillah very good in this, but men, unfortunately, they are very weak in controlling their eyes, in controlling their gazes. Thank you very much. And now we are approaching to Salah time. If you got any questions. Any other points that brother, sister who are here, they want to share with the group, please feel free to share.
You have something? Yeah, go ahead.
Are you allowed to pray without a shirt? You're not, right?
Without shirt. Are you allowed to pray without shirt? You are, if you are a man and you are alone, you are allowed to pray without shirt. But definitely it is highly discouraged, and this is against the Islamic etiquettes.
Well, it's almost like you're
Disrespect.
almost like you're going, like you're meeting like a guest. When a guest comes to your house, and it's a very important guest, do you go on without shirt? Do you wear like your old clothes or tear clothes, or you are in the short, or you wear your best clothes? Why? Because they are important for you. Allah is the top, so that's why you wear all the nice clothes. You know, that's why.
That's a very good explanation. Thank you for that. Okay, next topic for the next meeting. What you want to discuss, inshallah, in our next meeting. Next meeting will be, inshallah, after 1 month. After 1 month, inshallah, we'll hold another meeting like this, interactive, where you can freely ask questions. And if we have, inshallah, bigger place, we'll organize group discussions as well. Because to organize group discussions, definitely we need tables. And unfortunately, the place was a little bit small, so brothers could not bring tables here because it would be too tight for you to sit. So inshallah, I'm pretty sure that next meeting we will facilitate the group discussions. So what topic do you consider for our next discussion? Marriage.
Hijab marriage, 9 years old.
Yeah. Brother Ma'arifi has got a suggestion, and his suggestion is girls, please, just for 1 minute, Brother Ma'arifi's suggestion is we'll discuss the bulugh time difference between men and women and the age of marriage for men and women. And this is, as he has explained to me, it is quite pressing subject. Many women, they ask this question, why girls, being weaker than men, they become baligh at the age of 9, and they become responsible for all their religious duties at the age of 9, while boys, they've got 6 more years or 5 more years. So this is a topic, and in fact this topic is from another perspective very significant. In Western media you always hear that na'uzu billah, 1,000 times Prophet Muhammad was a pedophile. Pedophile means the one, na'uzu billah, who engaged in physical relationship with children. They say Aisha at the time of marriage with Prophet Muhammad, she was only 9-year-old. It is written in our Sunni brothers books, including Sahih Bukhari and other books. Unfortunately, Muslims, when Westerns read this tradition or they hear about this, they've got the best opportunity, particularly the enemies of Islam, to attack Prophet Muhammad's personality, and they say he was pedophile. In our culture, if somebody engages in any kind of physical relationship with a girl of 9-year-old, we call them very openly pedophile. So your Prophet was pedophile. So do you think this subject is in fact worthy of discussion in our next meeting? The age of bulugh for boys and girls, why 5 years difference? And the second topic, what is the right age of marriage for girls? Are Muslims allowed to marry their girls once they are 9-year-old? And the third point will be discussed definitely about the marriage of Prophet Muhammad with Aisha and that issue. So would you like to go with this subject, or you've got any other choices?
It's okay, Sheikh.
Please raise your hands, those who are in favor of this subject. Oh, mashallah, we've got majority. So it's done. But it's majority. So we go with majority's decision. And inshallah we'll discuss, you all will enjoy. And that's very significant because month of Ramadan is coming. So if a girl is, for example, 9-year-old, but she cannot tolerate 20 years fasting, is she still responsible to observe 20-year fasting? There are a lot of questions, a lot of opinions, and inshallah we'll discuss this topic in our next meeting, which will be inshallah in the on the first Saturday of the coming month, which is May. And inshallah the exact time and place, definitely we've done first workshop at Hussaini Association and second at Al